When I first left the United States, I thought myself a man of broad view and boundless wit. I had, after all, piloted steamboats down the Mississippi, written for papers both legitimate and otherwise, and survived 2 Missouri summers without shooting my neighbor. What more education does a man require? We set sail in the summer of 1867 aboard the Quaker City, a vessel named with all the martial gravity of a teacup. It was billed as the first pleasure cruise to Europe and the Holy Land, though after 4 days at sea with our passengers, I was forced to conclude that God had created oceans primarily to keep such people apart. Our company included preachers, widows, counterfeit nobles, actual jackasses, and one young fellow who claimed to speak 12 languages and used all of them to say nothing of consequence. I bunked below, far from the singing Methodists and closer to the boiler, where men spoke little and snored loud. My first glimpse of the old world came in the form of Azor's fog, a sort of damp soup through which the hills of Fayal rose like dumplings. I remarked aloud that it was the prettiest place I'd ever seen that also made me want to drown myself. A local overheard, smiled, and invited me for coffee. Thus began my uneasy education. In Lisbon, I beheld a city of golden light, sagging balconies, and laundry that danced better than its inhabitants. I wrote a clever paragraph comparing its architecture to an old woman in fine jewelry, but then a fishmonger gave me a fig and winked. I deleted the paragraph. We reached Gibraltar next, and I climbed the rock with the pride of an American scaling a foreign metaphor. At the top, I found a monkey picking its nose. We exchanged a long, meaningful stare, then went about our business. Marseilles was all noise and perfume. The women wore lace and smelled of rebellion. I was told the city had been cleaned up since the plague. I suspected they meant the new mayor, who shook my hand like he was testing it for coins. In Paris, the language barrier kept me from sin, but not from temptation. I lost 3 nights and a week's salary to a girl named Leonore, who claimed to be a countess, but worked mornings in a hat shop. She taught me 2 things. First, that French wine has no bottom. Second, that I knew far less about the female mind than about the metric system, and I knew nothing of the metric system. We moved on to Genoa, where I tried to mock the locals' obsession with Columbus, until I realized we Americans had named half our towns after him and knew far less about the man. I let the matter rest. Florence hit me like scripture. I stood in the presence of Botticelli's Angels and Michelangelo's David, and for the first time since setting sail, I shut up for more than 5 minutes. There's something about marble cut from mountain and muscle alike that humbles even a loud mouth. In Rome, I saw a priest kiss the ground, a beggar bless my boots, and 1,000-year-old ruin housing pigeons who seemed unimpressed by Caesar or me. The Vatican displayed more gold than my entire childhood county, and yet I left most struck by a single candle burning in the tomb of an unknown bishop. I no longer knew what was sacred, but I knew I'd missed it. Athens was sunburnt and crumbling. The Parthenon rose like a ghost, and I, an ignorant American with ink-stained hands, tried to understand the echo of democracy in marble. I failed, but I felt it. Sometimes that's enough. By the time we reached Constantinople, I was almost done mocking. A city with so many mosques, smells, and colors can either drive a man mad or make him quiet. I settled for a mild spiritual confusion and a lifelong craving for lamb cooked over coals. But it was in Jerusalem where I met myself and found him wanting. I had come prepared to be cynical. I carried that readiness like a compass. But standing at the Mount of Olives, gazing over that dusty bowl of stone and sorrow, I found myself suddenly unwilling to be clever. A group of pilgrims knelt beside me weeping, not from ecstasy, but from some memory their feet had carried across oceans. I watched a boy give his only scarf to an old man with leprosy. I saw no miracle, no divine sign, only the quiet death of arrogance. I wrote nothing that day. When we returned to New York, my friends asked what I had learned. I said very little. But just then, I remembered that line from The Innocents Abroad, written by my friend Mark Twain. Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime. It truly is a strange thing to leave home believing you know the world and to return realizing you barely know yourself. But as it turns out, it's the only way to really begin.